the ability to execute on that seems to be pretty high. And then, just encouraging those players to get lost in the slot and find open space. Anyways, it's a drill that I think Perry could correct me if I'm wrong, is a good one for the goalies, for sure, to get them looking around and defending those types of plays. Good for the attackers. We don't do forward and D usually. It's everyone does everything. Also good for the defenders in it not to throw the puck back up the middle of the ice, to clear it out into the gray areas. So checks a lot of boxes, and most of the coaches I work with, after we run it, they use it all the time. So just a good one that kind of meets everyone in a good spot. But definitely, have forwards and Ds rotating and not always playing the same position.
Oh, okay, Kim. Unconditional love for the goalies. All appreciate it. Some require it. But not surprising, I guess. Go ahead, Hal.
That's a great story, Kim. When my son started to play hockey, he was 9 years old. And I'd already been coaching for 25 years, I think. And he wanted to play goalie. And I said, well, why? And he goes, well, because everybody pats you on the back after the game. And he liked the equipment. So my deal I made with him was, I will take you to goalie training this year and maybe next year, but you have to learn to play the game first. And you have to learn to skate. And so we did that. I took him to Rob Stauber's goalie school. They have a mini indoor rink, and they had, he had goalie training for 2 years, but he also learned to play defense. And he also realized something else in the program we were in at that time. A lot of teams. I mean, the program's got 1,200 kids in it. Every level has 6, 8, 9 teams, and 15 to 20 goalies. He realized that the funnel would get real narrow real fast. He might not get a chance to play, and so then he decided that maybe playing defense was a much better option, because there's 4 of them or 6 of them on the team and only 2 goalies, but every team needs a good defenseman. So he abandoned that idea of playing goalie and went on and had a pretty good hockey career for a kid that started pretty late. So, but it's the idea of getting your patted on the back all the time, as Kim mentioned, is kind of appealing to young kids. They like the attention. So that's that story.
Well, Hal, just to piggyback on that, it's interesting. I think in girls hockey, if you're a goalie, you can pretty much write your ticket. We have far too many teams in Ontario, and I don't mean that I just mean there's so many teams that that's actually I help our association figure out how many teams to have at every age group and every level, which you can imagine is quite arduous with 1,600 players. And the biggest thing is well, do we have enough goalies this time? You lose 2 goalies in an age group. With us, at the U18 level, we have 9 teams at that level, competitive level, right? And one of the coaches just called us and said both his goalies have decided not to play next year, are going to focus on academics. Amazing, great. But now we have to decide whether we, chop a team out because they just don't have enough goalies. And it's, there are a few goalies in our organization who are, playing a little higher than their pay grade, simply because they're there and they're goalies. So I think that we have the flip problem that anyone who's wants to be a goalie at our association is I'm going to be playing rep hockey the rest of the way through and have my pick of the litter. And I don't know if that's the case for other girls' organizations, and we just happen to be so big. But we really do have an issue with having enough goalies, and we do have free goalie training programs for both our house league and our competitive level that are weekly. So it's 2 hours back to back. The first hour is house league, second hour is competitive, and there's no extra cost to attend those. And we've got one of the pro female goalies runs them. So, I mean, it's amazing that we have that there, but it's still not enough, I guess, to entice enough of the players to become full-time goalies. So I would, ask the group if there's something else that has been successful in terms of getting higher numbers for goalie, either retention or goalie recruitment. We just don't have enough to field as many teams as we can field player-wise.
We're struggling in all our programs here. And I'm lucky I have 2 goalies for the first time. And actually, when I coached high school, I only had 1 goalie for 4 years. And that goalie owns you. And he's pretty good. He went on and played Division I hockey. But I'm thinking about it in this whole conversation today with youth hockey and we've mentioned this before, we maybe have, I'm going to tell our association, we need to decide how many teams we're going to have based on how many goalies that we have. If we don't have enough goalies, we may have to cut back on some teams because you can't play without them. And really, one is insufficient. But I think in many cases, the teams only play one of their 2 goalies in the games, and the other one sits on the bench a lot. And, the kids come to play, not watch. And so they need to have, goalies need to have a lot of extra love, and they need the training, and they need the support. When I coached in Wayzata, actually, they had a whole storeroom full of equipment. And the kids that wanted to play goal at the younger ages could come in and get fully outfitted with used equipment that the association just loaned to them so they could try it. But then you can't bring them up and just ignore them. You have to really give them a lot of support. And I think it's an issue. Not only girls, this is boys too. On my girls team last 2 years, 1 goalie. It's hard. It's hard to coach too, and it's hard on teams, I think. So, anybody got any solutions? I think Wally probably does. I see his hands up. But your mic's off.
Need your mic, Wally.
How could you play goal until you're 18 or 16 and quit? And why are you short of goalies? And to me, the reason is simple. You don't play your second goalie. They don't grow up getting opportunities to develop and play and enjoy the game.
That doesn't really happen in our association, Wally. It's very rare that they're not equally balanced, even up to our AA teams. I would say there's maybe 1 or 2 teams out of our 32 each season where they have an alternative rotation other than every other one. Usually our junior team, if one of the goalies is just not even close, you take her up from midget, she just can't get it done. Yep. You might go 2/3, 1/3. And on a very rare occasion, one of our younger teams might have a rotation. And usually that gets filtered through me first, or I help manage that conversation with the parents. But we almost always have you go, I go. For us at U18, it's amazing. We have so many rep teams at the U18 level. It's wonderful, right? But, you do get, we're in an affluent community where many of our players are very driven academically. They're not going to be playing hockey at the next level. So in grade 11 and 12, they're at a private school. They're trying to get straight A's to get into McGill, U of T, whatever it is. They just drop the hockey for that reason. I think also one of the challenges with the older teams is they get the late ice times. And like if you have Friday night practice and you're not really into hockey and it's grade 12, like you're probably out. I don't know, maybe. I don't think the Friday night practices are highly attended by those lower level rep teams. But that's just, it is what it is. We can't give them 7 o'clock practice. That's when the 11-year-olds have to practice. But I think for us, it's more, if I look at our U11 teams, all of them only have 1 goalie. And so then you go, okay, well, where are they magically going to come from for U13? Where are they magically going to come from, right? And if each age group in the double cohort, we can only support 1 goalie per. I know me and the president of our association have brainstormed ideas, like let the goalies play for free. We already have, like Hal said, we have the massive room full of equipment. We've got the free goalie training. All our rep teams have to have a goalie coach come to their practices. I mean, we're pretty much set up for success that way. I think maybe letting them play for free could be. I don't know that is our socioeconomic demographic that's necessarily going to entice people. I don't know that would be a game changer for them. But it's not sustainable. It's certainly frustrating every year to have to go, oh, do we have enough? Will we have enough? Especially, it seems to be more like the double B and B levels. I think the double A and A, the highest level goalies, go wherever they think the teams are the best. But let's let Perry solve the problem for us. Perry's the pro. How do I get more goalies, Perry?
Well, part of the problem for me is, and I see it a lot here too. Too many players are being discouraged from being goalies because of the cost of goalie equipment. Like, to outfit a 10-year-old safely in hockey right now is anywhere between $3,500, $5,000 to outfit a goalie, and not every family's willing or capable to do that. And when you talk about used equipment, a lot of it is just not geared to today's game. The knee cradles are just not there, because that was with the old gear. You didn't have to go down like the goalies do now, so you don't need all that padding. And when they put that old gear on, they go down the first time, it hurts. But then they're over it. They don't want to play anymore. So the biggest challenge to me is to find ways to get a little bit cheaper goalie gear out there so these goalies can still play without breaking the bank.
Anybody else have any comments on not enough goalies? Rick?
Well, I'm not sure this would help get more goalies, but one of the issues that I've run into over the years is carding issues. You get 19 player cards here for a minor youth hockey team. 2 of them are goalie cards. And as soon as you assign a player, whether he's 19 or 18 or 9, to a goalie card, he's restricted. He can't play as a skater. And one of the avenues I've used with 2 goalies, and sometimes 2 goalies between 2 teams that are affiliated, is to card all the players as skaters. Then they can play goal or whatever from game to game. It's not a solution to the problem, but it is a method of dealing with a situation where you don't have enough to field all the teams, but you can give them more versatility to move back and forth. And for the second goalie who is not playing in any given game, I don't see any issue in, if you're not playing goal today, you can be a D-man or you can be a center or a winger. But we restrict it just by the regulations of carding in too many cases, in my experience.
Goalies can't live without them. Hard to live with them sometimes.
I've got it.
So can you not sign card a goalie and everybody's a player, and then they can play goal, whoever chooses to?
If you don't need 19 cards, you can sign 16 players as skaters, even though 2 of them are goaltenders.
Yeah.
So either one can play goal on any given night, and on that night, the other fella or gal can drop, move up and play as a defenseman or a forward. But as soon as you sign them to a goalie card, they're restricted. They're not eligible to be skaters.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, but it's been there forever.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things forever. Change is difficult, but that makes absolute sense to me. It's a way of satisfaction of playing in the game and staying in the game and getting more development opportunity as a goalie. And like Sammy Joe mentioned, she plays defense in her ladies league.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know who to makes rule changes or suggestions, but I wonder if anybody could do that without just on their own saying, well, we're signing all the players to player cards. And so they can play out if they're not playing goal. Is that possible, plausible, legal?
I've done it in the past.
Okay, makes sense. Suggestion. That's a good suggestion. I think a great idea.